We are back live right here on Breakfast Television. Graham Dodds, political science professor at Concordia University, joining me now. And Graham, thanks for joining us. Yesterday, Hillary Clinton declaring victory.
Yeah, an historic night, honestly. I mean, whatever we might think of Mrs. Clinton, of her politics, her husband, it's an historic moment, and it deserves, our recognition. For the first time in U.S. history, one of the two major political parties, and there are only two, will have a woman as its standard bearer. And here we are, 2016, but it's really worth noting. One of the commentators on CNN said, "Wake your daughters, get your grandma, make them see this." And I thought about waking my 5-year-old daughter. I did not, but an historic moment.
No, but it's a historic moment. So a lot of people say, hey, such a historic moment, then why is Bernie Sanders trying to rain on that parade and still saying, I'm going to fight to the end, I'm still staying in this? If he can't win, I mean, everyone says if you look at the delegates, it's impossible. He cannot win. Why is he still sticking around?
Very good question. I mean, I think the writing's been on the wall for weeks on this, but it is pretty much official now, all but official, that, yeah, he will not be the nominee. What is the point? I don't know. I mean, one theory is that he just wants maximal leverage at the convention to push things in his direction, to get some love on some issues. When Hillary was doing this, she took a few days after the California election to sort of concede. He may do that. I understand he's going to meet with President Obama, and Obama may put the screws down and say, come on, Bernie, you had a good run.
And we're hearing that the president may endorse Hillary Clinton, too. And if he does that, it's very difficult for Bernie to continue that.
It really is. I mean, Bernie's only hope is that Hillary is indicted and that he can persuade the superdelegates. But
Is that a chance? Bernie supporters will say, well, Hillary's going to get indicted, but that's...
One never knows, but everybody says no, and it would be unprecedented and unheard of, highly unlikely. So
let's talk about Donald Trump, because last night he had a speech. Of course, he had big victories yesterday. He's the only one left, of course. And his speech, done from a teleprompter, and his tone, very different. Of course, he's been accused of being a racist in the last while, again, even by members of his own party. The Speaker of the House, even. What did you see yesterday, and what did you think about his tone?
Yeah, it was different. So this is one of the, third time in his life he's spoken off a teleprompter instead of off the cuff, as is his wont. So he was a little bit more reined in, a little bit more professional, and, going forward, he's trying to tell Republicans, I can do this, I can play this, I can be nice and polite and not say terrible things. You had the sense he was sort of chomping and wanted to get out of that in a controlled environment and be a little more crazy.
One thing he did, he made a specific call out to Bernie Sanders supporters and the independents, and he asked for their support. I thought that was really interesting. Do you think that could work?
No, I don't.
So why not?
He's saying, Bernie people don't vote for Hillary. She's greedy. This is rather the pot calling the kettle black when it comes from Donald Trump, it's fair to say. He cares about inequality. These are not his issues. These are not Republican issues. I would be very surprised if more than a handful of Bernie supporters
You brought up inequality, and that reminds me of a story from earlier this week. Hillary Clinton speaking about inequality, and she did so while wearing a $12,000 Armani suit. Made headlines everywhere. I know, you probably wear $12,000 Armani suits as well.
We all do.
We all do, right? But that's got to play into her unfavorability ratings. She is, she's not viewed positively by a lot of Americans. The only one that is less viewed favorably is Donald Trump. But that has to be a real concern. And how does she turn that around?
Yeah, this has been a persistent problem for her. She hasn't been able to turn it around for years, and I don't think she will be able to turn it around.
You don't think she will be able to turn it around? So I think that's a big problem for the Democrats, because voters have short memory spans. And as bad as Donald Trump can be, I feel like if he just sweet talks enough, people will forget that. So is that a worry for you?
Yeah, this may be. I mean, 4 years ago, Mitt Romney's team was very open about this, and they said we're switching from the nomination to the general election. We are doing an Etch-a-Sketch. We're totally recreating our candidate, and nobody will remember. And it's odd when they're that open about it, but it's true. People don't remember. But Donald Trump's sweet-talking, he doesn't sweet talk. That's not his shtick.
But how does Hillary how does she win this election, even though everyone agrees she's more qualified? She perhaps is the most qualified candidate ever for the presidency. If people don't like her, how is she going to turn that around?
People will have a choice of two candidates, and as you suggest, more people find Trump more distasteful than Hillary. Now, that's not saying much.
So why do the polls right now show Donald Trump doing so well, even beating her in a lot of these polls?
Yeah, I think a lot of political scientists, of which I'm one, would say it's because he's been able to consolidate the base. The other people have dropped out. The party is reluctantly getting behind him. Hillary should have a similar bounce right about now. So I'd be surprised if Trump's bounce lasts.
Graham Dodds, always a pleasure, and we look forward to talking to you as the candidates approach the July convention. Thanks again.